economy and public finances. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban confirmed the deal after talks with US President Donald Trump at the White House. Now, as part of the agreement, Hungary will receive a one-year exemption from US sanctions on Russian oil and gas. Additionally, Hungary has committed to purchasing US liquefied natural gas worth $600 million. Orban has in fact emphasized that the agreement guarantees Hungary's financial stability, particularly in the event of external attacks on its economy or currency. This development, of course, comes amid economic stagnation in Hungary, though the Hungarian forint has shown strong performance this year. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Collins Chong-Yu-Keat, Foreign Affairs, Security and Strategy Analyst from University Malaya in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. Orban, of course, for quite a while has been talking about the geographic reality of Hungary, the fact that it is a landlocked country, it is reliant upon Russian energy, but at the same time we've seen certain other countries, such as India, being penalized for purchasing Russian oil as well, with steep tariffs being imposed. What do you make of Donald Trump's sort of relief granted to Orban? Where does this stem from? And is it also because of this 600 million LNG deal that has now been inked? Does that also play a crucial role in the exemption being granted?
Yes, definitely. It's a multifaceted, factor setting where we have seen, Orban has also given high praises for Trump before this. We have seen also how Orban is now in a very delicate situation. He needs, this capacity to jettison the country from this volatility in terms of, the funding, and in terms of also how it deals with inflation now. So it needs this economic shield, and of course also the U.S. Remains the ultimate partner in this, and but it's a surprising turn how given Orban's stance with regards to Brussels and Washington, but we have seen this turn of events, and Hungary is in dire need of this. Inflation is hitting hard. The freeze in funding from EU, of course also high borrowing costs, have all compelled Budapest to seek external guarantees, and of course also the returns to Washington in terms of this purchase of the resources, and this is also a reflection of how Trump sees Hungary in terms of gaining a strategic foothold in Central or Eastern Europe at a time where Russia is also pushing hard in this regard, and of course at the same time China is also trying to push hard in terms of its influence and presence in Hungary. So this is a calculated strategic move by Trump also. And of course, also at the same time, getting the economic benefits and entanglement and getting the support from the highest hierarchy in Hungary. So this is a mutually beneficial system for both countries. And I believe that, this is a new signaling also to the rest of the EU partners and the rest of Central Europe that US will still remain committed as long as there's this a much fairer and just system in terms of trade and the respect that they should give to Washington. Especially under President Trump. Yeah.
Indeed. Requesting you to stay on with us. You, of course, referred to the United States of America, and we're tracking further updates from there. We're learning that airlines have cancelled more than 2,800 flights and delayed over 10,200 across the United States since the federal government shutdown began 40 days ago. The chaos has marked the third straight day of government-mandated flight cuts and rising air traffic controller absences that have crippled operations at major airports nationwide. Delta Airlines was among the hardest hit, cancelling or delaying over half of its mainland flights. The prolonged shutdown has left thousands of federal employees unpaid, including those staffing the nation's air traffic control network, forcing airlines to slash schedules. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Collins Chong-Yu-Keat. What's also interesting is we've seen senators now reach some sort of a bipartisan deal to temporarily restore federal funding and reopen government operations. Of course, this remains to be passed. If it is, that would mean it would move to the US Congress. But how crucial do you see this particular move as being one step closer to breaking the deadlock, breaking the paralysis that we've seen?
Yes, definitely it's a very positive move. It gives a new kind of reassuring confidence But this deadlock, this shutdown is not a Trump phenomenon. It is a Washington phenomenon. This President Trump is inheriting a system that is designed to have this kind of gridlock. And Trump has been consistent with his stance on reducing waste, inefficiencies, or bloated spending. So this shutdown is one of the few tools remaining to force Congress into a very serious debate on reforms that they have been avoiding for decades now. So Trump is pushing for these structural and systemic fixes rather than through cosmetic compromises or debates that are going nowhere. So of course that always comes with short-term pain. But this also regards to the impact of the shutdown. We have seen how we have mentioned earlier of the cancellation of flights and all that. So, but the aviation system in the U.S. was cracking long before Trump returned to office. So this shutdown simply exposes this divide, this gap, a problem where no one has seriously fixed in the past. So I'll argue that this is a needed short-term wake-up call. And Trump has been consistent in the stance that that there have to be serious reforms and serious debates on the way forward in terms of managing the financial calculus, in terms of also looking very hard into the inefficiencies, the bloated spending and misparities of the spending of the Congress. So we've seen how, but things are looking brighter now, and of course inflation is in check with the new wealth returning under Trump's policies. Of course, also with the reduction of oil gas prices in the U.S. and the returning of jobs. So all this will compensate for the short-term pain that the U.S. is feeling now. Yeah.
Indeed, and a quick follow-up, because we do know that the midterm elections are going to take place next year itself. There's been a considerable pushback from ordinary Americans against both the Democrats and the Republicans, as well as this shutdown continues. There were forecasts that if this stretches even further, it could lead to a recession. There are already price hikes being reported due to the tariff policy, so a double whammy would make lives even more difficult for the ordinary Americans. In that context, who's the biggest gainer from this particular deal? Is it the Democrats or the Trump administration?
Well, of course, there have been talks by the other side, by the Democrats, that they have been using the same attacking points that have been used by Republicans before this under the Biden administration. I know they have been pointing out that inflation is rising, prices of goods are rising, grocery prices and all that. But if you don't see a collapsing economy here, it's a totally different economic environment as compared to the Biden administration. You see resilience, you see a newfound confidence in terms of the wealth, the money that's pouring back to the country under the policies by Trump in terms of the returns from tariff measures. So all this, don't happen under weak leadership. It happens under strong policies initiated by Trump. So of course there will be short-term pains, but once this is over, I foresee that the economy is going to revive in terms of the positive impact from the tariff measures. Also with the new purchase of China in terms of soybeans, in terms of resources, oil and gas assets, and this will eventually have these self-correct measures in the economic parity in the economic calculations. So for now, I think of course, with regards to recent elections in Democrat states, with of course the most well-known will be the election of Mamdani in New York. All this happened in Democrat states, and it is a foregone conclusion. Then we can see that it's, of course, it's very much aligned to the sentiments of the people right now. But they are all in Democrat states, and we can't say that at the general level. So I will foresee that the momentum, the advantage still lies with the Republicans, with Trump, despite the short-term pain being felt now, and this has been used collectively by the Democrats to keep on harnessing on the notion that Trump is at fault for all this. But Trump is not at fault. The ones that should be faulted will be the systemic gap that has been in place for decades now. So Trump simply pointed it out on the need for the Congress and for both sides to look seriously into fixing this divide. Yeah.
Indeed. So requesting you to stay on with us as we're tracking some further updates, this time from East Asia. We're now learning that Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi warned